Hey, welcome to the show. I'm the Crypto Kid, and in these videos we take a look at Bitcoin and everything that's going on in the world of cryptocurrency. So if you're new to the show, welcome. We make daily videos and keep it relevant to what's going on in the news. And if you're just joining us back again, thanks. Welcome back, and you know how we do it. Let's jump right in and take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Now, right now, we have seen a little bit of volatility, but really we have maintained those prices around 2,600 USD with the BCH chain here. And taking a look here, this is the 3-day spread. You can see exactly what I mean. We're coming up from those earlier numbers around 2,200 earlier in the week, and we reached numbers yesterday and even today around 2,700. But again, we haven't fallen back through any lower than 25, and that's a good sign to see, especially with this added volume that we can see here below. So that's pretty good. Now, if we take a closer look, you can see that we are kind of showing a little bit of volatility here as we dip back below that 26. But in my opinion, again, we're seeing a nice upward trend here, and hopefully we'll have an easy way to maintain that $2,500 mark, staying well above that as we move forward into the week. Now, if you look over at Bitcoin Core, you can see the struggle with trying to break through that $15,000 level there. But again, similar issues here. If we step back, you can see that there has been a slight climb up earlier in the week and really just leveling out there with a plateau around that $15,000 mark. Now, looking at Bitcoin Cash versus Core, not a heck of a lot of change. Still sitting at that price difference between 6 times with Core versus Cash. The only thing significant here is the price. The fees have dropped down a bit, and you can probably attribute that to the fact that SegWit adoption is up slightly, and that will probably temporarily alleviate a little bit of that price in the terms of fees. Now, looking at the board here across the table, you can see it's pretty green, but not only that, there's a lot to notably here. The prices are up quite a bit. Stellar, Cardano, we got even Ripple is continuing to have its bull run here, and this is surprising with Ripple because I would have suspected that you would see a little bit of a slowdown there, but clearly you're seeing a lot of money coming out of Korea, but that's nothing specific because that's a majority of where a lot of the money is coming from in terms of crypto across the board. So we will continue to watch Ripple, but in my opinion, speculators are assuming that this will probably come down quite a bit. And if not, we might see something called the rippling, which we will get to in a minute. But let's jump over to Bitcoin.com because there's a lot happening in the news, most notably Gavin Andresen. If you're not familiar with him, he is one of the most well-known developers of the original Bitcoin protocol. Now, he's worked with Satoshi Nakamoto, and he has really done a considerable amount for Bitcoin, to say the least. Now, what's going on with this? Basically, he's dropped a few bombs here talking about Bitcoin Cash and some ideas that he's got for Bitcoin Cash. Now, this is not anything to do with Bitcoin Core. He's come out and saying, well, I've got a half-baked thought here exploring different ways of implementing a fully validating BCH node. So what he's talking about here is something called the UTXO that he's come out with, which more or less just means an unspent transaction output. Now, he's talking about storing these as a bit vector. Now, basically what he's talking about here, without getting too technical, is that he's working to implement some protocols on a Bitcoin Cash network to kind of alleviate problems that aren't necessarily here yet, but in the future might actually be pretty substantial issues. So here's a quote coming out directly from Gavin. Initial block download is a problem today. It is annoying to have to wait several hours or days to sync up to a full node, or a new node, I should say. And this scheme could make it orders of magnitude faster by shifting the time when full transaction data is broadcast from initial block download to new transaction announcement. Now, what he's talking about here is that there is some other issues that aren't a problem today. So specifically this here, the UTXO set easily fits into the RAM of an inexpensive server class machine, but might eventually be a very large transaction volume. So this is kind of double spent here. There's two issues going on, and he's trying to kind of kind of give his opinion here, whether it's going to be something that is implemented right away or just kind of thrown back and forth here. That's up for debate, but it is just exciting, and in my opinion, to see someone like this coming into the space for BCH, it's just fantastic. And again, like he said here, Bitcoin Cash is what I started working on in 2010, a store of value and a means of exchange, and we say it a lot on this channel. Bitcoin is meant to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, and that's exactly what Bitcoin Cash is. So again, there's a lot going on here in the news with Bitcoin Cash. And another article that came out is the change in addresses that we're seeing here. Now, Bitcoin ABC has released basically this yesterday, coming out with the fact that, you know, they're ready for it. It's, you know, January 4th is what's going to be called Change Address Day, but this is rolling out. Now, if you're not too familiar with this, it is a little bit confusing in terms of in terms of the address in comparison to Bitcoin Core with Bitcoin Cash. Now, this will hopefully alleviate that issue, but there is a lot of other benefits coming out with this. Now, the switch to actually change that, you know, easily distinguishable will come in a few different ways, and there is websites that allow you to do this now. Whether these are fully accessible now, I'll leave links to these below, but you can actually convert those Bitcoin Cash addresses. Not only that, you'll be able to switch them from one to the other. Now, this part of the site isn't ready yet, but again, you're seeing this slowly being implemented, and hopefully by January 14th, this will be fully implemented. But again, it's pretty exciting to see this, because some of the other benefits that you can attribute to this, not only to distinguish between Core and Cash, it's going to be easier to create QR codes, which is going to be great for merchant adoption. But it's also going to pave the way for multi-party smart contracts, which is just going to allow a multitude of different things coming onto the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And it's going to be so easy in terms of conversion tools, and like I mentioned here, with other ways to just convert this. So really exciting stuff for Bitcoin Cash coming out in the future. And again, there's just a multitude of different things coming out. And I mentioned here local Bitcoin Cash. I don't think I've gone into this too deep in past videos, so I'm just going to touch on this now. Basically, what this is, it's a zero-fee BCH or Bitcoin Cash based shapeshift trading platform. Now, this is exciting for many reasons. One, the fact that there's no fees, and it'll give the option of people that aren't even really supporting Bitcoin Cash to use Bitcoin Cash as the trading platform here. But not only that, there's going to be a lot of other positive aspects of the site. Now, just recently, the individual who runs the platform, Eric here, did an AMA, and he was talking about helping Venezuela. There's a wicked quote that came out here that resonated with me, which I will read. Bitcoin Cash allows anyone, anywhere in the world to send money to each other for less than 1 cent, instantly, safely, without requiring any permission from anyone, banks, government, and its value does not get destroyed by hyperinflation. Now, this will help so many people. Now, here's another quote here. I understand the bad situation in Venezuela, and having been really poor and hungry for many years myself, I have experienced that pain. I believe Bitcoin Cash can solve some of those problems. And this is the truth about Bitcoin Cash. I mean, when you can't use Bitcoin Core in commerce or even in a store or any type of peer-to-peer transaction for low fees, or I should say low amounts, what's the point of having it? And so with Bitcoin Cash and a lot of people getting on board with this, it's clear that this is the future, especially in business. Now, here's localbitcoinscash.org, and it is just kind of rolling out, so I would assume to give it a few days. But some notable things here, that's got a line here that you can call for customer service, which is pretty much unheard of. Now, whether that will stay there once the popularity gets big, but some things to consider. The liquidity here is going to be pretty low. There's going to be a little bit of volatility, I'm sure. And again, this might not be fully implemented for a few days, but check this out. You can buy BCH here with trade via escrow, but you can also trade bank wires. And when you sell BCH, you can actually do these meetups, and apparently the meetup option is one of the most popular here. So you can actually, you know, figure out how you want to do this and go meet up with people. And here's some kind of how it looks here. But not only that, you're also going to have a merchant listing here too. So you can actually list yourself automatically here. And you can actually set this up to actually have like a nice meetup system. So a lot of cool stuff coming out, and I will leave links to all these below. But lastly, I wanted to mention one more thing, and that is what's going on with Ripple, because again, clearly a lot of people have been talking about how this is potentially going to slow down. Is it going to retrace dramatically? And a lot of new people getting into the scene in cryptocurrency, and I can assume that once they see Ripple really taking off and making majority of those investors quite happy, could be the ones getting hurt hard if this does crash, or at least have a huge retracement before leveling out. Now, right now, just to put it into context, you can see here that the gains have been around 14% in the last 24 hours. So again, no sign of slowing down. But the real news here is the market cap, okay? So writing at the time of this article, it was $104 billion versus Bitcoin's 245. Now that means the price of Ripple currently is at 270, and if they're saying in this article that if Ripple hits 675, if BTC or Bitcoin Core didn't move, stood still so to speak, it would literally take over the market cap of BTC Bitcoin Core. Now that probably won't happen overnight, but if it did, we would see some pretty insane events happening in the news, in the cryptocurrency world. And in this article, they compare it to almost Google being taken over by an alternative search engine. And in my opinion, it makes perfect sense. Now, just think about this for a second. If you were using Google for about how many years it's been around, say even just for 5 years, you've been using it nonstop every day. It's quick, it's free, it's easy to use. What if you came on one day and all of a sudden that Google search engine cost you $10 to use it, and those search results took 2 days to come back to you, even 25 minutes? That's exactly what is happening with Bitcoin Core, and you can see it evident in the market cap here. It's just happening all over, especially in commerce. So exactly, when you have Bitcoin Core and you want to use it and it costs you an arm and a leg when it used to be free, not only that, but it takes days, it's just clear as day that you're going to see Bitcoin Core continuing to move down in this trend of a dramatic downward movement here, especially as the fees continue to stay where they are, and other currencies such as Ripple and other ones do way better jobs of moving their money around. So it's no far-fetched quote here that we could say Bitcoin Core could lose its dominance completely, being taken over by Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, Dash. Over the long run, it's anyone's guess. In my opinion, it will probably be Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash once people realize how centralized that Ripple actually is. Because keep in mind, whales own Ripple. I mean, there's 3 people that own 35% of Ripple. Now, they can manipulate the market if they wanted to. Not only that, but there's the actual 55 billion XRP that Ripple's that could be held in escrow and that are frozen there. Essentially 38.7 billion tokens. So, are only on the market, I should say, or currently on the market. So this is, one of those things you got to really be cautious about. And they spell it out pretty good in this article here. And I guess I could finish off by just reading this here. Ripple's rise means little to the average Bitcoiner whose preference for decentralized financial systems will remain unwavering. The success of XRP could mean a lot to central banks, however, who are watching the tokens ascent with keen interest. How fitting if Ripple, a centralized cryptocurrency, were to prove the gateway drug to a centralized banking coin. And in my opinion, hasn't that already happened? So again, we'll have to take a look to see where this goes and where everything goes over the next few weeks, as we usually do. And we'll continue to watch Bitcoin Cash and cover everything that's happening in the news. So again, if you've been watching the channel, thanks a lot for the support. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed and you will continue to join us as we make these daily videos. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you in the next one.